on Beerus's planet. Goku was sitting, leaning against one of the several trees that they had on Beerus's planet. One of the planet's characteristics. He had a distant and thoughtful look. His arms were behind his head, and his eyes were fixed on the various other planets that resided in the sky. The feeling of emptiness he felt was growing, and he couldn't shake the idea that the peace that reigned between the universes was somehow making him bored. Goku said, "No new strong enemies. Nothing that challenges me. I think the entire universe went into rest mode after all that with Gas, Frieza, Cell Max, King Goma." Whis, who was watching everything from afar, quickly flies towards the Saiyan as he couldn't help but notice Goku's frustration and how distant he seemed. He then approached slowly with his soft and enigmatic smile. Whis spoke, "Why, Goku, you should rejoice in the peace. It's not every day we get the chance to relax." Goku jumped to his feet, rubbing his head with a goofy smile. Goku said, "I know, but I can't help it. I just want something more. A fight that makes me step out of my comfort zone. There's no one else out there that makes me use my full power." Beerus, who was in a corner of the planet, lying lazily on his cushion and watching cartoons, heard the conversation and opened one eye to observe Goku. He stood up slowly, with a disgusted expression. Then instantly, he teleported to where Whis and Goku were. Beerus said, "You really are hopeless, Goku. Always dissatisfied, always looking for more. This will lead to your destruction one day." Goku looked at Beerus, somewhat annoyed, but still eager for a new fighting opportunity. Goku said, "Yeah, but I won't stop until I find someone who can really make me fight. Don't you understand? You, as God of Destruction, have to meet someone strong enough to challenge me." Beerus huffed, irritated. He didn't want to get too involved in that conversation, but he knew that if Goku continued with that idea in his head, nothing would stop him. Then, Beerus approached Goku and sat on the floor with a smug expression. Beerus spoke, Okay, if you really want a challenge, maybe I have something for you, but you're going to have to deal with the consequences." Goku looked at him with a twinkle in his eyes. Goku said, "Really? Who is it? Who is it? Tell me straight away." Beerus sighed heavily before starting to speak, his voice getting deeper and carrying a touch of mystery. Beerus spoke, "His name is Tutankamun. He was one of the most powerful gods of destruction in Universe 17 who was erased by Zeno-sama. He was in fact an exiled god. He was never accepted by the other gods of destruction or the angels. The reason? His brutal and destructive nature. He believed that destruction should not just be a cosmic function but an absolute right, a privilege of the strongest." Goku frowned, trying to better understand what Beerus was saying. Goku said, "So, he was a pretty violent guy?" Beerus spoke, "Violent is a compliment. This guy was completely insane. He destroyed planets for no reason, wiped out entire civilizations because he thought they were weak, and even tried to kill other gods. And when he was about to cause unimaginable chaos in Universe 17, I was the one who sealed him away. I was responsible for keeping the peace and stopping him from causing more destruction." Whis, who had been silent until then, placed his hand on his chin with a look of slight curiosity. Whis spoke, "I never imagined I would hear about him again. Tutankamun, a god so dangerous that even the angels were threatened. His strength was such that there was no one in Universe 17 who dared to challenge him." Goku's eyes widened, becoming fascinated with the story. Goku said, "Now that's what I call a challenge. So he's really strong, right? Enough to give me a real fight." Beerus gave a cynical smile, knowing exactly Goku's reaction. Beerus spoke, "You have no idea what you're asking for, Goku. Tutankamun is not only physically strong, he possessed a devastating energy manipulation ability, as well as a Machiavellian intellect. He was capable of controlling and destroying not only beings, but everything around him." Goku was silent for a moment, absorbing every word. The excitement in his heart grew even more. Guys, sorry to interrupt this epic story, but I have a message for those of you who aren't yet sponsors of the channel. Did you know that your name can appear here in the videos as a thank you? In addition, you can have access to all the exclusive photos of the channel's characters to download, and you will also have access to the advanced videos. In addition, you can choose a unique story that will be turned into a video for everyone to watch, so subscribe to my Patreon link in the comments. Well, let's get back to the story. Goku said, "Perfect, I'll face him." Whis shook his head, but there was a smile of slight understanding on his face. Whis spoke, "Goku, if you really want this, I'm going to have to warn you. Releasing Tutankamun from the seal means he could cause great turmoil in the universe, and like Beerus said, the consequences could be devastating." Beerus looked irritated at the idea, his eyes narrowing with a mix of worry and exhaustion. Beerus spoke, I've seen what this guy can do, and despite being one of the most powerful gods of destruction to ever exist, he had no control over his own rage. That's something you need to worry about. Goku looked serious for a moment, but soon an adventurous smile appeared on his face. Goku said, "If I die, let it be fighting. Isn't that what we do?" Beerus rolled his eyes, but he could no longer look away from Goku's determination. He knew it was futile to try to dissuade him. Beerus spoke, "I can't believe I'm doing this, but if that's what you want, I'm going to have to release Tutankamun so you can fight him." Whis placed his hand on his forehead, sighing, but also recognizing that Goku always managed to get the best of Beerus, even when he didn't want to. Whis said, "Well, if we're going to do this, we better go quickly. However, does Beerus remember where you sealed Tutankamun? Because if I remember correctly, Zeno-sama erased this universe." Beerus said, "Of course I remember. I'll never forget that planet where I trapped him for eternity. Let's go." Goku made a gesture with his hand as if he was eager to start and said, "Yes, let's go!" With that, Beerus, Goku, and Whis began to prepare for the journey. They crossed several planets until they reached a lifeless planet that belonged to Universe 7. The emptiness of space was even more intense and dark in this part of the universe, as if the cosmos itself was marked by Tutankamun's brutal actions. When they arrived, the atmosphere was charged and something seemed to be lurking, waiting. The team continued to an isolated location, where the seal that imprisoned Tutankamun was kept, held by extremely powerful energies. Tutankamun was in a coffin with an Egyptian structure containing acronyms and unknown words. Beerus spoke with a grim expression, "Here's the seal. It keeps Tutankamun trapped, but if we break it, he'll be free to do whatever he wants." Goku looked at the seal, his eyes shining with excitement. He was ready. Goku said, "Then let's break this down and see what he has to show me." Whis observed the scene, alert to the imminent danger. Whis spoke, "Get ready, Goku! This won't be like any other fight!" Beerus nodded, taking one last look at the seal. Beerus spoke, "Whatever it is, I can't stop it now. Goku, you will have to deal with the consequences of this." With a simple movement from Beerus, the seal broke, releasing an overwhelming wave of energy. An immense figure began to materialize before them, its eyes glowing with fury, its aura of destruction engulfing the space around it. The god of destruction, Tutankamun, was finally free. The figure of Tutankamun appeared with an overwhelming aura that illuminated the void around him. His crystal green eyes were fixed on Goku with a presence that distorted space and time. His golden armor looked like gold and glowed brightly, as if it were made of pure energy. He had long sun-blonde hair that trembled with the destructive power that emanated from his being. His smile was cruel, as if the mere idea of being challenged was fun. Tutankamun spoke, his voice booming, "So, does anyone dare challenge me after so long? You must be very brave or very foolish." Goku, without hesitation, activated Ultra Instinct instantly. His body glowed with silver energy and his hair became even shinier. He was ready for the fight. The speed at which it moved was so impressive that even Beerus and Whis were momentarily surprised. He lunged toward Tutankamun, his movements so fast they seemed like blurs of light. Goku spoke with a defiant smile, "No matter how strong you are, I will defeat you." Tutankamun laughed, a deep, menacing laugh. He extended his hand and a wave of destructive energy was shot towards Goku, but he dodged it with ease, showing his mastery of Ultra Instinct. Tutankamun said, "Interesting, let's see how much you can take." The battle between the two began, and the space around them shook with the intensity of the blows. The fate of Universe 7 and all universes depended on what happened next. The impact of the fight between Goku and Tutankamun resonated throughout the lifeless environment of that abandoned planet. The space around them shook as if it was about to collapse. Every blow from Tutankamun was like a warning of mercy, and Goku, even in his most powerful form with Ultra Instinct activated, couldn't even scratch him. Goku moved at high speed, dodging his opponent's deadly attacks, but every time he tried to counterattack, his punches and kicks had no effect. Tutankamun's skin seemed unbreakable. His resistance was absurd. Tutankamun spoke, "Interesting. Your moves are impressive but still weak. Did you really think you could defeat me?" Goku panted. His body felt the weight of the fight. He had already taken several direct hits and was starting to feel the overwhelming difference in power between the two. Goku said, "Damn, I can't even scratch him, but I won't give up." Goku pushed himself forward with all his speed, attempting a surprise attack, but Tutankamun raised a single finger and blocked it effortlessly. Then with one swift movement, he hit Goku in the stomach with an open palm. The impact was so strong that Goku was thrown far away and ended up stopping in another part of the planet. Beerus and Whis watched from afar, and the god of destruction was clearly frustrated. Beerus spoke, "Damn, this is the end, Whis. Goku doesn't stand a chance. He's fighting a being that spent millennia accumulating accumulating the energy of entire planets. His power has no limits. Even though Tutankamun has been sealed for millennia, he's still in great shape. It's as if he was never sealed. Whis kept his expression calm but said nothing. He knew that Goku always found a way to overcome impossible challenges, but this time, everything seemed different. Goku slowly stood up, breathing heavily. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Tutankamun with determination. Goku spoke, "You're strong, much stronger than anyone I've ever faced. But that just makes me want to fight even more." Tutankamun narrowed his eyes, analyzing Goku with a curious look. Tutankamun spoke, "I have seen many warriors like you, always confident, always thinking they can overcome any obstacle. But the truth is that there are levels of power that can never be reached, no matter how much they train." He raised his hand and a purple sphere began to form in his palm. The air around them began to distort, and an overwhelming pressure took over the environment. It was possible to feel the planet suffering from this overwhelming presence. It was Hakai, the definitive technique of the gods of destruction. Beerus' eyes widened, his body tensed. Beerus spoke, "It's over. Goku will be erased from existence." "Damn it, Whis, we have to do something." Whis continued to watch in silence, but this time with a watchful eye. Goku tried to move, but his body didn't respond. He was exhausted, and the power of the Hakai was overwhelming. But then something unexpected happened. Tutankamun, with his hand still outstretched, looked at Beerus. His gaze was no longer that of a sadistic warrior or a merciless god. He looked tired. Tutankamun spoke, "I have spent countless years sealed away. I have reflected on many things during that time, and I have come to a conclusion. I want to restore my universe." Silence took over the place. Beerus frowned, confused. Beerus said, "What?" Tutankamun lowered his hand, undoing the Hakai to everyone's surprise. Goku fell to his knees, panting, relieved that he hadn't been erased. Tutankamun spoke, "For millennia, I absorbed the energy of planets to become stronger. I saw myself as the pinnacle of destruction, a supreme being who should decide who lives and who dies. But when I was sealed, I realized something. I was empty. Everything I achieved meant nothing." Beerus crossed his arms, still skeptical. Beerus said, "And why would that interest me?" Tutankamun looked directly into Beerus' eyes, his voice carrying a weight that only a god could understand. Tutankamun spoke, "Universe 17 has been erased, and all I have left now is this empty planet that I was sealed on. It is the last thing I remember, that is, I have nothing left. But Zeno-sama and Ryumas still exist, don't they? If they can erase a universe, then they can also restore it." Goku, who was still catching his breath, looked at Tutankamun in surprise. Goku said, "So, you don't want to destroy anymore?" Tutankamun slowly shook his head. Tutankamun said, "No, I want to rebuild my universe. I want to bring back the planets that I once destroyed, and more than anything, I want to see my angel again." Beerus was silent for a moment. The mention of Tutankamon's angel made something inside him awaken. Beerus spoke, "Ryumas, he's still out there," Whis said. "Yes, angels don't get erased along with their universes. He's probably been wandering the void ever since, without a home to return to. There's a chance he went to another universe, or is still in Zeno-sama's palace. Well, Ryumas has always been unpredictable, so I think he knows how to hide." Tutankamun clenched his fists. Tutankamun spoke, "I have made irreparable mistakes, but if there is a chance to restore what was lost, I want to try." Goku stood up with a tired smile. Goku said, "So you want to fight, but for your universe this time?" Tutankamun said, "Yes, for the first time, I want to fight for something that is not just power. I am living proof that power is not something meaningful in the end. You get tired and don't see the point in it all anymore." Beerus sighed, closing his eyes. Beerus spoke, "Well, that's not up to me. Only Zeno-sama and Ryumas can decide that. But maybe if you show them that you've changed, there might be a chance." Tutankamun looked at Beerus seriously. Tutankamun spoke, "I accept whatever judgment they impose." Goku smiling said, I couldn't beat you, but anyway, I think it was worth fighting against you." Tutankamun looked at Goku, and for the first time showed a slight smile and said, "You are an interesting warrior, Goku. Who knows, one day we will fight again, but as allies." Whis swung his staff, opening a portal. Whis said, "Come on, we need to take this issue to Zeno-sama." With that, Beerus, Whis, Goku, and Tutankamun passed through the portal, heading towards Zeno's palace. The fate of Universe 17 was now in the hands of the Supreme Beings. After arriving at Zeno-sama's majestic and luxurious palace, they ended up entering without any difficulty. As Zeno-sama normally allowed Goku to enter his palace, Zeno-sama listens attentively to Tutankamun's petition, dangling his feet as he looked at the other Zeno at his side. The little Supreme God blinked a few times, processing everything that had been said. Zeno-sama spoke, "So you want your universe back?" The other Zeno nodded, repeating in sync. Another Zeno-sama spoke, "Yes, we want to know what Ryumus thinks of this." The space around them began to glow softly, and an overwhelming presence emerged. Ryumus, the primordial god who created the multiverse, appeared, his silhouette enveloped in a golden glow. His piercing eyes fell upon Tutankamun. Ryumus spoke, "I felt your presence as soon as your seal was broken, and I could see in your soul that you had changed. But is this true? Do you regret it, Tutankamun?" The god of destruction from Universe 17 knelt down, something he would never do in his past life. His pride, once infinite, was now replaced by a greater purpose. Tutankamun spoke, "Yes, I cannot erase my mistakes, but I can rebuild what I destroyed. If there is a chance, I will accept any test to prove my redemption." Ryumus watched him for a long time before finally closing his eyes. Ryumus spoke, "Your heart speaks the truth. So, may your universe be restored." With a simple gesture of his hand, Ryumus emanated colossal cosmic energy, and the once desolate void of Universe 17 began to take shape again. Planets emerged, stars rekindled, entire galaxies formed in a divine spectacle. Universe 17 came back into existence. Goku smiled as he saw the miracle happening before his eyes. But Tutankamun still felt something missing. Tutankamun said, "My angel, where are you?" The creator god looked at him with an enigmatic gleam in his eyes. Ryumus said, "You already have the answer. You always have." Tutankamun frowned. He didn't understand. But at that exact moment, he remembered the green crystal he always carried on his forehead, which accompanied him even while he was sealed. A power began to pulse from the crystal, and then an intense glow emanated from it. The dormant essence within the object was released, and in front of everyone, an angelic figure appeared. It was Anquisenamun, Tutankamun's angel, now free. Anquisenamun spoke, "Finally, my lord, you have found me." Tutankamun was speechless. His own angel was with him the entire time. Before being sealed by Beerus, Ryumus sealed Anquisenamun's essence within the crystal to remain at his god's side. Tutankamun spoke, "You stayed with me the whole time." Anquisenamun smiled, his gaze serene, and said, "I knew that one day you would realize, and now we have a universe to rebuild." Tutankamun said, "Yes, we will rebuild Universe 17. Guys, and this concludes the story of the god of destruction Tutankamun. Do you want to see him rebuilding his universe? Well, this all depends on you. So it's very important that you leave your like and also subscribe to the channel, and goodbye.